So as of last week, there were two possible trades that you could have entered. One being the Euro CAD, as you can see right here, and the other one being the silver trade. So let's get right into the charts. On the daily, we first want to identify our impulse. As you can clearly see right here, our impulse is all one color, breaking and also closing above the previous structure point right here. After the impulse, we want to identify our retracement. You can clearly see this red and this small doji candle that could have been either red or green. The rule to the retracement is it should at least be two daily candles and it all should be one color. The reason I still end up taking this trade is because this doji right here could have either been red or green. It is a very, 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 very small candle. So that was the reason I still ended up taking this trade, even though the rule to the retracement is it should all be one color. After we identify our setup on the daily, we now go to the weekly time frame. On the weekly, we want to draw our support or resistance that could be of influence. So this level is going to be my support right here. If I look to my left, we can clearly see it was resistance, price broke above, came back below, went above once again, and now it has retested it as possible support using the momentum to continue to the upside. On the daily, we want to draw our fib from the end of the retracement to the beginning because we expect the new impulse that is going to form to travel at least to the negative 27 before it has its retracement. On the 4 hour, as usual, we wait for the break of the 61 level before we can enter this trade. Right now, you can see price has already broken and closed above the 61, but because it is outside of my trading window, we have to wait until the new London session. So this is going to be the start of the London session. As you can see, price has still closed above the 61, meaning we can now place our order on the 61, stop loss on the 88, and I would take profit always on the negative 27 to create at least a 1 to 3 risk to reward. So right now we're just waiting, and as you can see, price ended up with this large bearish candle going straight through our entry point, almost hitting our stop loss, and the next candle was the one that hit our stop loss. So this was the loss that we took on Euro CAD. So maybe this loss could have been avoided if we stuck to the rules of the two color retracement. But at the end of the day, as you can see, it wasn't a bad setup to take. It's just sometimes it doesn't play out and sometimes it does. Our next trade is going to be the silver trade. So we always start off on the daily time frame. First, we want to identify our impulse. The rule to the impulse, it should all be one color. You can clearly see that these candles are all one color, forming our impulse. After the impulse, we need to identify our retracement. Our retracement need to be at least two daily candles, and they all should be the same color. So you can clearly see we have a valid impulse, all one color, and a valid retracement, all one color, and at least two daily candles. After we identify our setup on the daily, we want to go to the weekly time frame. On the weekly, we want to draw our support or resistance that could be of influence. Now, there isn't any clear support that you can identify on the weekly, except this level right here, that price hasn't broken this level for the last 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, looking to make the fifth. So this is going to be our level on the weekly. And also this can be another previous resistance. So here it was resistance, price has now broken above that level, possible using it as support to continue to the upside. On the daily, we want to draw our fib from the end of the retracement to the beginning, because we expect the new impulse that is going to form to go all the way to the negative 27 before it has its retracement. On the 4 hour, we want to wait for the break of the 61 level as usual. So right now we are waiting until we have a break. If price end up going lower than your placement of the fib, you can just make sure you adjust it to the end and also that it is on the beginning. So right now we are waiting until we have a break of the 61, and as you can see, the break has now taken place. Our entry now goes on the 61, our stop loss normally on the 88, but you can see the end of the structure is all the way down here. So make sure you use the end of the structure as a protection for your stop loss. You need to create at least a 1 to 3. Because we have adjusted our stop loss, we would also need to adjust our entry point to create at least a 1 to 3. So now we are waiting until we get tapped inside of this trade. You can now see we have entered this trade, and as soon as price breaks this 38 level, we want to move our stop loss to break even so it becomes a risk-free trade. But as you can see, price did not end up closing above the 38. It ended up going way below our initial entry point. So around somewhere right here, I decided to close the trade because it wasn't looking like price wanted to continue any higher in the moment. So seeing that price going from our entry point right there to being under our entry for the next day also, it just didn't look like price wanted to continue. So that's why I ended up closing out this trade. Let's see what would have happened otherwise. The stop loss would have been hit. So the reason why I sometimes close out my trade early is because if price already had a push, came back below my entry and doesn't want to continue for like a whole day, usually in my eyes, that is price showing me it doesn't want to continue any higher. And that's why I ended up closing out my trade around this area right here. So this was the weekly recap on EuroCAD and on the silver trade. I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.